UFC Fight Night Royval versus Taira is coming on this weekend, unfortunately from the Apex again. But we're here to go over all the fights on the card, go over some nice bets I see on this card, and the layout for this is pretty much just the battle of the mids. Okay, a lot of these matchups, these guys are just aggressively mid, and it's kind of hard to pick because of that. But let's get started right away. Very first fight on the card, two guys that aren't so mid. Two prospects actually. Some guys that aren't just 30-year-old bums at this point. But we got Clayton Carpenter and Lucas Rocha. I don't like that Rocha had a year layoff after winning on the Contender Series. Really don't like that. And they're both good prospects. Rocha's 17-1 just coming into the UFC, and Carpenter's 7-0. Even though Rocha's 4 years younger than Carpenter, so kind of one of those weird things. Maybe Carpenter got started later, but he's at MMA Lab now. I like that, and I think he'll just mix it up better. I think he'll mix in takedowns more, and I think he's going to end up edging out a close decision here, probably a 29-28. But I'm going to take Clayton Carpenter to win by decision in the very first fight. Let's move up to the next fight with some mid. We're starting to get some mid here. We got Dan Argueta and Cody Haddon. Haddon, whatever you want to say it. He won about a month ago on Dana White's Contender Series. I like the quick turnaround there. And Argueta is not great. His only win in the UFC is against 0-2 Nick Aguirre, and he's coming off of 2 no contests and a sub loss. So I really don't like that all coming into this, facing some up and coming prospect. All of Haddon's wins were finishes, so I'm going to take him to finish Argueta in the first round. Could be either way, but I'm going to go with KO first round and hopefully another quick turnaround. I like the guys to keep it moving. Let's not wait around. We don't have to wait around for a year off Dana White's Contender Series. You better have some fucking surgery or something. But anyway, here's where the mid kicks off, okay? We have Chris Barnett and Junior Tafa, and I don't know how these two are even going to fit in the Apex cage. This was not made for them at all. This was a bad matchup to have at the Apex. There ain't going to be no room for Chris Barnett to be doing his crazy shit. And even if he could, honestly, I think what's going to happen here, Tafa's a massive -400 favorite coming in. I think Barnett's just going to burn himself out in the first round. Tafa's going to tag him a few times and then just finish him in the second, probably by knockout. I think Barnett's just going to go out there and hope and pray that one of his spinning fucking fat kicks lands and knocks him out. But I'm going to take Tafa by second round knockout here. And if Tafa loses here to Barnett, I don't even know what to tell you, bro. Just hang it up. Next fight on the card, some more mid. Niko Price and Themba Gorimbo. Themba Gorimbo's almost a 3-1 favorite coming in here, and I just don't have much to say about it. They're both going to be a kind of boring fight, I feel like. I think Gorimbo's just going to edge out a decision. Hopefully he gets a knockout. Price obviously does have a great chin, unless he just threw the fight against Lawler. But I'm going to take Gorimbo here to get a boring decision, either 30-27 or 29-28. But yeah, Niko Price just sucks, man. I know they want to keep promoting Themba Gorimbo. Niko Price is just kind of a stepping stone for a lot of these guys. So we're going to take Gorimbo here as the heavy favorite and move our ass up the card to more mid. Jonathan Pearce versus Pat Sabatini. Again, I told you this is kind of the theme here. A lot of mid. Near evens here on the odds. I think ESPN actually has Sabatini as the underdog, and I like him even more there. That's going to be one of my first bets for the card here. I'm going to suggest is going to be Sabatini here. I'm going to take him by money line. I'm going to say Sabatini money line because it could be a sub or it could be decision. I'm going to predict Sabatini to win by submission here. I'm going to say round 2 sub for Sabatini. But if he doesn't get him out of there with a sub, I think he will end up winning by decision. Again, either 30-27 or 29-28. But I do like him to win this fight pretty easily. Pearce just kind of sucks, man. I don't know. Pearce is coming off losses to David Onama and a sub to Joanderson Brito. His last win was 2022 against Darren Elkins, so just no momentum at all. And just another really mid matchup, unfortunately. But that's what the Apex cards are for, I guess. Moving up, CJ Vergara and Ramazan Temirov, who I believe is making his debut as well. That's going to be a tough test for him against Vergara here. Definitely not a slouch. A little bit inconsistent sometimes, but definitely not just dog shit. Temirov's out of Uzbekistan and is making his debut in the UFC, coming off of 4 knockouts outside of the UFC. I think they were in Ryzen, I believe the last 2 were. Heavy favorite over Vergara coming into this. Vergara obviously isn't the best, but he's fought some decent competition in the UFC, and probably much better than the competition that Temirov has had outside of the UFC. But I'm going to take Temirov by knockout here in the first round. It could be a fraud check coming in here, but I think he's going to continue the knockout streak. He seems pretty solid, and even though it's fights outside the UFC, it doesn't mean that they mean nothing. But I'm going to take Temirov here on his debut, round 1 KO, and hopefully making a quick turnaround and not just hanging around. Next fight up the card, way more mid. Again, we're just, oh, God, just cannot get away from the fucking mid here. Chidi and Njokuani and Jared Gooden. Oh, God, I don't even want to talk about it. Both these guys kind of suck. We have 23 and 10 versus 23 and 9. Gooden being 5 years younger. I think someone gets knocked out either way, so that's going to be the only good thing about this. But I'm going to go with the underdog here. I'm going to take Gooden to get the knockout here in the second round. I think these guys are just going to be swinging, honestly. They are kind of mid, but at least sometimes, dude, sometimes those are the best fights because they just got nothing to lose. They don't give a fuck. They're just coming out doing crazy shit. Sometimes that makes it much better. And for these Apex cards, we need a little bit of crazy. So I think they're just going to be fucking tired to take each other's heads off for a couple rounds. I'm going to take Gooden to catch him in the second round by knockout, maybe finish him with some ground and pound. But I'm going to take the underdog there as well. So I do see a couple of good underdog picks here. I think there's one more up the card as well that I thought was a good underdog pick. But let's keep it moving. Oh, more mid. Josh Fremd and Abdul Razak Alhassan. Uh, Abdul coming off of that back shot finish or back of the head finish rather to what's his name? That dog shit. Who's that dog shit? Oh, Cody Brundage. Yeah, that dog shit. Yeah. Beat the shit out of Cody Brundage back of the head. That was a no contest. And then before that, he got submitted by Pfeiffer. Not a bad loss to have, honestly. But and he would have beaten Brundage too if he just didn't target the back of the head. But anyway. Fremd is coming off losses to Roman Kopylov and Andre Petrosky, which is just not good losses to come off of. Another shit matchup here, dude. 12 and 6 versus 11 and 6. I do think Fremd is more shit here though, and at least Alhassan looked aggressive in his last fight, like he's looking for finishes recently, and he has somewhat of an aura about him, somewhat of a motivation and confidence that Fremd probably doesn't have anymore. So I'm gonna take Abdul here, first round KO. If he doesn't get him out in the first round, though, I think he's going to empty the tank. So hopefully he does. Otherwise, it's probably going to be a long fight for him. But I'm going to take Abdul Razak Alhassan, first round KO here. Let's move it up to some more mid. Daniel Rodriguez and Alex Morono. Oh, God, dude. Rodriguez is coming off a 3-fight losing streak. A good competition to Gastelum, Gary, and Magny, but damn, dude. Not only is it a three-fight loss streak, but he lost by every different kind of method over the last 3 fights. Decision, KO, and sub, respectively, over the last 3 fights. So that's kind of crazy, too. Morono has been on a 1-win, 1-loss streak for like the last 2 years. He's just kind of back and forth. Rodriguez has absolutely no momentum coming into this, but I do think he's better than Morono. So either he's 100% washed at this point and just done, or he's going to get a pretty easy decision here. I'm going to choose him by decision. I think he's definitely the better fighter, but coming off 3 losses like that and pretty much having like he was making his way up the division and then just got shot right back down. Now he's fighting Alex Morono at the Apex. So that's tough. Don't like that for him. I'm going to take him to win by decision, but God, I don't want to watch this one. Anyway. Moving on to the only women's MMA fight of the card. Plan your breaks accordingly. Cory McKenna and Julia Polastri. Yeah, Polastri lost her UFC debut, and McKenna has been decent ever since she had her debut in 2020. She's been all right, had some good performances, sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit, McKenna's a slight underdog here, which kind of surprises me, but I'm going to take her to win. Although I do think that the increased reach of Polastri, whatever, is going to be an issue. But I'm going to take McKenna to get the win here by decision, obviously. Yeah, I don't know. Not much to know about this Polastri, and she lost the UFC debut. McKenna looks decent sometimes, so at least there's some kind of decent fight to look back on. I don't know, man. Who knows how to pick these? I don't know. Get a coin, Moving up the card to some recent mid. Grant Dawson got fraud checked by Bobby Green. And Hafa Garcia. So I think this is going to be closer than the minus 400 odds they're giving to Dawson here. I mean, Garcia isn't completely terrible, but he's a bit small compared to Dawson, and I think because of that and because he's the physicality, he's probably going to lose here. Pretty similar age, 3 inches taller and 2 inches more in the reach. I think that's probably going to be the difference here. Garcia's coming off 2 good wins against Clay Guida and Mahashet, which is pretty decent. And Dawson's coming off a win over Joe Selecki after getting starched by Bobby Green. I really want to pick Garcia here. I kind of feel like I should pick him, but I think all logic is saying to pick Dawson here. I don't know. I think there's a good chance to make some money on Garcia here. I mean, Dawson got fraud checked by fucking Bobby Green, so this Garcia guy could just come in and knock his ass out too. Who knows, bro? Obviously his chin's not great. We've seen that, so might be worth putting some money on Garcia here. I mean, it's 16-3 versus 21-2, similar age, just a little bit off in the stature, but I'm gonna take Dawson here by decision. But listen, dude, there might be some decent money on Garcia here. Might be another one to look at. Moving up the card to the co-main event, bro. Really? This is a co-main event? Brad Tavares and Yin Yang Park. Like, what the fuck are we doing, man? Honestly, Park's solid. I like him as the favorite here. I don't think like when I'm watching, I'm not like trying to hold back, puke. Some of these guys, it's just like, oh god, like what are you doing? Park looks pretty decent sometimes. He did just lose to Andre Meniz. So that's not great, and that broke his 4-fight win streak. But Tavares, on the other hand, has one win in the last four, and in the last 2 years, one win in his last four, and in the last 2 years being a decision over Edward Scissorhands, Chris Weidman, who again washed just like Tavares. I like Park here. He looked good in his last fights. He looked good until his last fight, and is 3 years younger now than the 36-year-old Brad Tavares. Like, we're past our peak, brother. You know what I mean? He is. I mean, he's got to be getting close to the end here. I think he's washed at this point, and I think he's going to retire soon. I got Park by decision. I'm going to say 29-28. Just edges it out, but I think he's just better at this point, man. I think he just wants it more. Tavares is probably just fighting just to do it at this point. I'm going to take Park. Let's move it on to the main event of the evening, and really the only fight that I give a fuck about at all. Brandon Royval and Tatsuro Taira. God, this is a tough one. Obviously, Royval's been at the top for a bit. He has that kind of experience. He's been battle tested. He just fought Pantoja. Didn't look too bad. He made that a close fight for sure. But the thing I keep coming back to with Royval is just something about when I watch him fight, when I see him, it just doesn't scream champion to me, man. It just doesn't seem like he has that killer instinct that you need, man. You absolutely need that to be at the top. And it just doesn't seem like he has it in him. I don't know. Like he's skilled. He's very good for the division, but I just don't feel when I watch him fight that he's going to be a champion. And whoever wins this fight is going to go on to get a title shot, most likely. If Royval does, I'm sure it'll be Albazi, whoever wins that fight. But if Albazi loses and it's Moreno, let's say Moreno and Royval both win their fights, then who the fuck's going to fight then? This is kind of a mess. So I do like this being 3 weeks earlier than Albazi's fight. Fuck him. I hope he either loses or Taira just wins here and gets the shot before that. But um, Royval's coming off a split decision win to Brandon Moreno where neither of them really looked too impressive. It was a really slow fight. Moreno specifically kind of seemed like he lost that fight over Royval winning it. Um, just watching the fight, man, I think Royval is just going to leave himself open one too many times in exchanges, and I think he's going to get dropped and maybe subbed by Taira after. Um, I just don't see that instinct in Royval and Taira. He's been building up to this. He's got all these wins in a row now. Everything's going for him, and Royval's kind of been up and down. Had the loss to Pantoja, but then barely beats Moreno. So he's kind of not so sure where he's at, and now he's got this really highly touted prospect and Taira coming up in this main event. And even though it's in the Apex, it's still a big main event. It's still 5 rounds. And I think we'll end up with another I'm happy thank you from Taira after he wins, and hopefully a call out of Pantoja because fuck, dude, we don't need to see Albazi fucking in there. I really don't need to see that. Taira's exciting when he fights, man. So I think sometimes he gets a little boring with the wrestling, but I think this is going to be a good fight. I'm going to take Taira by knockout here. God, am I? Am I? I don't think it's going to go 5, man. I just don't know. If it does go 5, I think Royval will probably win by decision, but I think Taira's going to get him out of there before that. I'm going to take him by. I'm going to take him by second round submission. Second round submission. I think he's going to knock him down maybe once in the first and then get him down in the second, maybe either takedown or knockdown. I think he's going to finish him on the ground there. I think that's what the path to victory is going to be here. 8 years younger than Royval, up and coming prospect, and I think just wants it more at this point, man. 16 and over, 16 and 7. I just think this is a perfect matchup for Taira. I think it's a good setup for him to get the title shot next. I know they want to give him that title shot. I'm sure they want to get a Japanese, champion or at least up in the title picture. So I like Taira here. I'm going to take him by second round submission, but I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Subscribe for more UFC content. I'll be back after the card to recap it all the mid. Oh God, it's you know what? Sometimes these cards end up being the best ones when the fights don't seem that good, but not when all the guys on the card just have a history of being fucking boring and back and forth and just kind of shit. But anyway, like the video if you like the video. I'll be back with more UFC content. Peace.